When I'm sitting at home relaxing, I can't wait for the next episode of RC Racing, and neither can my friends. Welcome to this month's RC Racing. Once again, we're back at the Riviera Hotel with more action from the 2IC here in Las Vegas. We've also got all the news, views, interviews, and of course, our new for this year, studio. It's not often you get to be at the birth of something. Well, at least not something that involves blood and screaming and then having to pay for it for 18 years. But in Vegas, we were lucky enough to see the birth of a new RC class, World GT. A kind of a rebirth as well, because it combines the best of the oft-forgotten Pro 10, in which we still have the world champion in Dave Spashett. But this is a new class for a new era. It's brushless, it's foam, it's a pan car, it's 10th scale, it's... Oh, have a look as we investigated the new World GT. It's got a new class. You've almost set the rules for it. World GT 13.5. Give us a bit of background.
Yeah, it's a brand new class, something that started getting talked about over the last 8 months or so and really started snowballing, and we decided to make this pretty much the inaugural class or inaugural event where this class is featured. It's a two-wheel drive pan car, similar to the old big wide like overgrown 12 scale cars of the past, but everything changed a little bit and running more realistic bodies. Corvettes and Supras and things like that on the bodies to give it more of a realistic look to real racing. It's just a two-wheel drive pan car, very simple. One thing in my opinion as hurting touring car is the complexity of it. You need to know so much to be able to be competitive, more so than the early days of just the days of the TC3 when it was very simple. You know, the early years of the Tamiya. There's so much now, camber and caster and droop and roll centers and just so much now that it's overgrown its popularity in my opinion. So this World GT class, a lot more simpler, not as complex, you don't need to know as much, it's fast, plenty of traction, and the bodies just look great.
Also at the forefront of the new class is Bruce Carboni of Speed Merchant. Now, what's the difference between these and the old Pro 10, which was so popular, 7 or 8 years ago, then died a death?
Well, the Pro 10, first off, was based off 6 cells, and it was a 235 millimeter car. This is 200 millimeters. The Pro 10s are awesome. They're still awesome today. They're just way too fast. So they're undrivable except by the top 0.5% of the RC people in the world. It's a 200 millimeter car, plus we're running a real GT body, just like they're raced overseas, they're raced all around the world, obviously Le Mans bodies. We have, this is the Protoform Corvette, but Protoform has an Alfa Romeo and a Maserati coming out relatively soon. So we're going to have some really cool bodies just for this class, and hopefully people sticker them up and paint them like real cars, and it's going to be really neat.
Well, it's turned a bit of a mini Le Mans ALMS series, because obviously with the prototypes in the 12 scale bodies, now with the GT1s, you just need some to do GT2 bodies.
Possibly, yeah, possibly down the line. You know, get into like the Zondas and everything else would be awesome. You know, they're the easiest driving cars in the world.
Now this is on carpet. Do you have any plans to run them outdoors?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, they'll go super. We did a ton of testing with fiberglass cars on asphalt. They handle awesome. On a small track, they're faster than gas cars. They really are. Because they go full speed everywhere. It's literally full speed everywhere.
Well, we'll be back to see the inaugural World GT race later in the show. Well, I just got back from Las Vegas, filming things like the World GT, and was suffering a little bit from jet lag when I got this very odd phone call.
Nick, it's Matt.
Hi, Matt.
How would you like to represent Great Britain in a RC endurance challenge which involves Bajas and travelling to Spain?
No, not really.
Okay, but the thing is, I mean, it's it's going to be great weather. The sun's going to be out.
I really appreciate you thinking of me, mate, but I think I'll give it a miss, mate.
Okay.
1 week, Vegas, 1 week in Silverstone,
Yeah. You vegetarian?
Am I a vegetarian?
Yeah. Are you not all right?
Why are you asking a vegetarian? No, I'm not a vegetarian.
Right. Okay. Cool. Normal meal option
What do you mean normal meal option?
on the plane. Okay. So
I can't go to Spain.
and it's DAMAN.
Yes, you know it is.
Okay.
Bye.
Anyway, before I knew it, flights had been paid for and hotels booked, and having just unpacked from my transatlantic jaunt, well, I was packing again. Once word got out that I was recruiting a team of hardened RC warriors to represent Great Britain, response was really rather low. But after a very little deliberation and a few calls, we finally got the team assembled. 5 men, comprising the toughest, most passionate Baja bashers England and Scotland has to offer. They are Lee Seeger, codename Birthday Boy, Alan Mills, codename Snowman, Jason Glenn, codename Nude Nut, Paul Williams, codename Baja Ginge, and team manager, well, he was once he got there and I'd sidestepped that job, Roger Gardner, codename RCD, and finally, star of the show, me actually. Will they have the determination, strength, and sheer guts required to take the Baja Endurance throne? As I mentioned, these guys are Baja bashers, not racers, so they should know a lot about repairs and maintenance, but the ability to race, well, that's anybody's guess. Anyway, enough chit-chat. It was time for me to get out on the rostrum and show the team some top-tastic Damon skills behind the sticks.
Right, well the basic situation is it's like driving on ice. It's way worse than driving on ice because at least with ice you can have spikes on the tyres. Where it's damp there's some grip, but on the whole there's nothing. And it's very difficult to actually work out when you've lost it. It's so little power to put on it's just pirouette. You're very tippy-toeing around the whole way.
The idea in practice is to find out what's wrong with the car, fix it and improve it, and that's what the boys are doing. All of them.
What are you doing?
I held the car at an angle for a while, and I carried one screw in from outside.
We think Nick will do very well. He seemed to get around the corners, seemed to judge the jumps very well, and above all, he didn't stuff it.
Well, we qualified last, and to be honest, that was the highlight the first few hours of the race, because everything that could go wrong did go wrong. We lost a wheel, and then we had an argument with the Italian marshal about getting it back again. Our theory of just keeping going and let everyone else break down is kind of floundering slightly because we've broken down. Well, 2/3 of the way through, and things are actually starting to look slightly better. We've run pretty much perfectly for a couple of hours, and that was beginning to crawl us up the leaderboard as other people fell into trouble. I think it definitely helped when it rained, in fairness. The extra grip was playing into our lack of ability to keep the car pointing straight. Well, at the end of the race, we had climbed up several positions and beaten several major countries. And I had several beers because I'd kind of finished a couple of hours beforehand. And, I know you shouldn't drink and drive, but it's only a radio-controlled car, so I don't think that really counts. And it was good fun, and the team was having a great time, and we all felt really emotional. Team GB! Now, with the team, it's fair to say, Roger, it's fair to say that the first 6 hours were crap. But the second 6 hours, and that's what really counts, because everyone knows it's the second half that counts of any match, fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. We seemed to really get our act together in the second 6 hours. Unfortunately, we had quite a few problems that we hadn't known about or even thought about in the beginning, being one of the first races we'd done with this car.
But the important thing is we beat the French, the Italians and the main Spanish team. So 3 major European powers falling at our feet. Well, it's been great fun. It's been very tiring. A huge amount of sponsorship. I think the most remarkable thing is we've run 12 hours with what are basically kits, and we've got 15 finishers of the 16 starts. Only one car couldn't make the finish, and they dropped out of 10.5 hours. Yes, we've all had our odd trials and tribulations, but most of them have been things caused by serious electrical things or problems with carburetors that we expect. But basically, the rigidity and the strength of the chassis of the Baja is quite amazing, to be honest. I am very surprised. I must admit, I came here thinking, oh yeah, we'll get 7 or 8 home, but 15 out of 16, what more can you say? And good fun had by all.
To celebrate the start of our new series, we're having another of our fantastic competitions. And this time you can win the latest in 1/10 off-road buggy magic, the Brahma 10B. Now, to win, all you have to do is answer the following simple question. Where are the 1/10 Touring Car Electric World Championships being held? Is it answer A, in Thailand, answer B, in Turkey, or answer C, in Telford? When you know, put out your answer, A, B or C, on email to win@hpi.tv, and one of you will be going home with a fantastic Brahma 10B. Well, for our next race action, I think we've got something you're going to be looking forward to, John. It's the start of scale American Le Mans racing with the GT class. The GT Opens, 13.5 World GT. You must be looking forward to that.
Well, if these scale replicas of their full-size counterparts have anything like the kind of racing that we've seen over the last 4 or 5 years in the American Le Mans series at Le Mans and on racetracks all around Europe, then we're in for a real treat. Door banging, wing mirrors coming off, even teammates getting involved with each other. Plenty of competition on the full-size scene. I just wonder how the scale counterparts will shape up.
Well, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Let's find out from our expert over in the States. It's Scotty Ernst.
World GT class, the brand new class that we talked about, and this one is wide open. There is not really a favorite in this one. A lot of the names you won't recognize as are mostly American drivers, but there's some names in here that are phenomenal for good pan car racing. Your top qualifier, Walt Henderson. Stephen Boyce, your defending stock champion from last year in 12 scale. And then in the back of the grid, 10 scale, or 10th qualifier, the guy who just out-qualified me and put me B final, Frank Calandra. As I mentioned, longtime champion in 12 scale. He's 10th in the grid, but that doesn't matter. Going into this tight turn, anything can happen. The guys with the Associated cars looking really good, looking really strong qualifying. Donnie Leah running the Speed Merchant, very quick. So anybody can do it. I hate to take the pole sitter as being the favorite because that's just too easy, but Walt Henderson, he's been the quickest in qualifying, so I got to give the tip of the hat to Walt Henderson starting on pole.
And there is our pole sitter, all of these bodies fashioned on Corvette C6Rs, although there are a lot of new styles coming out. Second is Stephen Boyce, we mentioned him earlier on as a potential. Third, Donnie Leah. Eric Anderson in 4th position. 5th will be Sean Cochran in the white car. Excuse me, sir, we've got one of our drivers behind you, thank you. In 6th position, Bob Stelflew. 7th is Mark Smiker. 8th position is James Arluck. 9th, Brian Wynn. And at the back, we've heard his name mentioned as well, Frank Calandra. Interestingly, these 2-wheel drive cars only a couple of tenths slower around this very tight circuit than the 4-wheel drive machines that we're more used to seeing. We're off and racing, and Henderson gets the start and pulls away. Heads off at the distance, a bit of an incident behind him, but everyone has got through relatively safely. I love to see these cars moving around. That's of course, the whole point of having them as 2-wheel drive. Now, I did make the point that they aren't very much slower than the 4-wheel drive cars. They perhaps look a little bit slower, but the lap times, well, that's telling the story. Just literally 2 tenths the difference between pole in this class and pull in the more traditional 12 scale that we're used to seeing over here in Europe. All settling down here with Henderson, Boyce and Donny Lear leading out as they were on the grid. Following through the infield. You can't just nail the throttle here. You do have to have a feel for the grip from the back wheels as well as turning the cars in. And you can see just by how these machines are running on the carpet how carefully the drivers are working. Be nice when we see some of the new body shells that are coming through to see a little bit of variety. Very excited to see that Aston Martin that we hear is in the works. Alpha as well coming through. Seems relatively appropriate though that here in the USA we're watching a full grid of America's sports car, the Corvette. Heading through into the midfield. We've already got some battles further back down the field, but at the moment there's absolutely nothing that can stop Walt Henderson from pulling away. He's got a handy lead at the moment, hasn't he, from that blue machine in second place of Stephen Boyce. Stephen on leave from his day job, which is as a member of the armed forces, currently stationed at Guantanamo Bay. So he'll be jetting back off to that after this race. And interestingly, in third position, Donny Lear, for those of you who follow full-size motorsport, as one of the back markers has just made a mistake there right in front of the leader, and I'll tell you about that in a moment because we have a battle for the lead. But unfortunately, a slight mistake by Stephen in second place has just allowed Henderson to pull out another 3 or 4 car lengths, even perhaps more. Look, third place now, Donny Lear, who you can just see coming through there now. If you follow full-size racing, well, he does a bit of that, and he's quite good. Craftsman Truck is his game, and he has been a winner. Seeing if his racecraft stands up on the carpet as well. Back to the leaders, and it is a battle for the lead now, with the blue car of Stephen Boyce in second place, pressuring Henderson. And Henderson can't get too excited on the sticks here, just got to keep that throttle going on. Nice and progressively, very easy to spin up the back tyres, gets sideways, makes a mistake, side-by-side action from the leaders, and through goes Stephen Boyce into the lead. Now let's just have a look, where was the mistake made again? Well, that hairpin corner has been a real bugbear. Some great Corvette side-by-side action. We've seen plenty of that in the American Le Mans series this year between teammates. These two very definitely competitors, and well, a nice opportunist manoeuvre there by Stephen, who now leads. But look at this, he's not getting a win, he makes a mistake, and Henderson goes back through. Well, does nobody want this lead? Oh, and I think in third place, Mark Schmeicher there has fought his way up into third from 7th on the grid, so he's had a cracking opening stint of this race. Yes, there he was, just caught a flash of that car in the background. But let's stay with the battle for the lead then, as Henderson, now restored to the lead, has, well, very close company indeed from Stephen in second place. Stephen Boyce looks down the inside and clips the inside again. These little mistakes are costing him ground. It does seem though that he can get back on terms with the leader quite quickly. Maybe Henderson being a tad more circumspect through traffic. Or maybe he's just pacing himself towards the end of this race. Through the traffic again. And Henderson with a handy lead for the moment. Problems on the infield right in front of the leader. Fortunately, that back marker decides to stay where he is. But it certainly seems as though that blue car in second place is gaining ground. Look at them as they come towards us. Now, that third car is not Mark Schmeicher. No, that's a lapped car, in fact, so don't worry about that one. It's the flame and orangey red car in the background, fourth in this train, that is in fact third in the race at the moment. You'll catch a glimpse. There he was, just coming through. See him again there, coming to the hairpin. So he's had a great run up from 7th, where he qualified, clearly picking his way through traffic very nicely indeed. Has he got anything left at the end of this race, as the top step of the podium surely fought out between Walt Henderson and Stephen Boyce. These are there through the infield again, and Boyce so quick through there, he's taken him out. He's taken the leader out right at the end of the race. That was in fact, I think, the last lap. Yes, that was the last lap. And Boyce goes down the inside of Henderson, unceremoniously removes him from the race. He's come through in second. Let's have another look. Remember, this is the penultimate corner. Oh, dear me. Ambitious, I certainly think so. It looks like Boise was waiting to see if the erstwhile leader could get going again. He's come through in second. Watch for the flaming orange car. There it is, going through. That's Mark Schmeicher going through at the lead. That tells a story. The body language on the podium. On the driver's podium. This is going to be talked about for some time in the pits, and quite clearly Henderson not happy with what has gone on there right at the death of that race. Let's take a look at the results. Well, confirmation, Mark Schmeicher coming through from well down the grid to win it, but Stephen Boyce given a penalty and relegated to third behind Walt Henderson, who he rather attacked on that final portion of the race. Frank Calandra came up from 10th to 4th position, Donny Lear dropping back down to 5th, and Bob Stelflew in 6th position. Let's go down to Nick, who's with the drivers, and what I think is probably quite a surprised winner.
Mark Schmeicher, you've won the inaugural 13.5 GT, a race full of controversy, and you just mopped it up.
It was a good race. I mean, I should have had third overall. It was a little bit of bumping and grinding at the end. Somehow it came down to where I won. Don't know really what happened, but I won, so I'll take it.
So how would you sum up you drive a lot of classes. What do you think about these 13.5s?
I think it's not even the 13.5, it's just the whole World GT class. It's just a fun class. It brings the fun back in RC racing.
Mark, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Well, I hope you'll agree that there was plenty of action there for everybody. Perhaps, Nick, just a little bit too much at the front of the field. Personally, I love the two-wheel drive aspect. The cars are moving around. Clearly a lot of skill, a lot of precision needed on the controls. But at the end, controversy and not a little bit of confusion as well. What happened and what was in the mind of the stewards there?
Well, I think it's a bit of a storm in a teacup really there, John, because what happened effectively was that Stephen Boyce went for a slightly opportunistic move in second place. He kind of just tipped out Walt, who was leading. Mark Schmeicher came through to win. That's the way of the world in RC racing and any racing. The front two crash, the third person does very well of it. Stephen, in fairness, waited for Walt to get righted, but unfortunately he then saw 4th, 5th and 6th coming on and thought, hang on a minute, I better go and cross the line because we're literally 2 corners from the end of the race. And Walt wasn't very happy with that. And the stewards, for want of a better term, he decided to give Stephen a very small penalty, which put him behind Walt. Now, I personally think it's just a racing incident. No one was trying to do anything at all. Stephen was personally quite upset. You could see coming off the rostrum by this. But I think it can't take away from the fact it was great racing, great class. And when you see it in Europe, the cars will be going quicker because we've approved the class with slightly faster engines.
That's about it for this edition. Next time around, it's the big one, Nick.
It is. We are in Bangkok for the World Championships, where Britain is defending both World Championships. Dave Spashett won the 12th, Andy Moore won the 10th. The rest of the world has it caught up. The 12th's on tarmac. Who knows? But it's going to be fantastic. In fact, I think I need to get the plane right now, John. See you in a minute.
It brings the fun back in RC racing.